What's going on, everybody? Today we are going to be painting number 3 of my 7-inch glide baits. Now my channel's been a little bit glide bait heavy lately, so I apologize about that, but this is another test one. And I was going to paint it in a Gizzard Shad pattern, and then just so happened to have a viewer requested it in the comments. So I'm gonna go ahead, so I decided to go ahead and film this one. Now the viewer did request for a hyper realistic. Now I wish I had a perfect hyper realistic pattern for you. I'm still learning how to get things to look more natural and realistic. So I don't want to say that this is exactly what you're looking for, but maybe it'll be a good start. And then it's also good for me practicing, trying to get things to look more realistic. If you guys remember, if you watched my build videos or the build series I did on this, and I went to go sand this joint and I was like, I hate this part because it's so easy to mess it up. I messed this up. Sanded it way too far back over there so it looks a little bit goofy, but no big deal, as this one's still a test bait, which I'd move the weight around. And then I also have another one that I'm working on where the weight's all the way up front here, trying to keep it from nosing up, whereas our number 2 swam good but kind of nosed up a little bit. Number 3, I moved the weight is all down here, and number 4, this says number 5 because that's my layer, but this is the fourth 7-inch glide bait. Number 4, all the weight on the front half of the bait is moved up as far as I can. So we'll see which one swims better or if it prevents it from nosing up. But today, Gizzard Shad pattern, I already did a base coat of white, and then my airbrush clogged like crazy, so I spent the rest of the evening yesterday completely tearing apart the airbrush and cleaning every single piece of it. So hopefully today we can go clog free. I also just did see Mr. Crappie Mike, I just saw your comment too about having clogs. So if my airbrush runs good right now, then that will answer your question. You need to do a really deep clean. If I get a bunch of clogs today, then we'll have to figure out something else. First thing we're going to be doing, because I'm going for like a Gizzard Shad pattern with a base coat of white already on the bait, is we're going to be doing a Wicked Colors highlight gold, and I'm going to spray the whole bait in this. We're going to keep it a really simple, very subtle colors. I don't want to do anything too crazy on this because I'm trying to go for that more realistic, and I really like this highlight gold because it gives everything a nice little shimmer to it. So I'm gonna get this loaded up in the airbrush, and I'll probably do 2 layers of the gold and get everything to have a nice little hue of pretty gold. Now that probably don't look a whole lot different on camera, but you can kind of see how it's got that gold sheen to it now versus this side. So really cool color, and I like doing that on these shad patterns. So if you don't have the highlight gold, I recommend getting that to add to your arsenal. I'm going to go ahead and hit the bottom of this bait again because I think the bottom's going to stay this color. So I'm going to make sure it's got a good layer on there. Another thing though that will help if you are getting a clogged paintbrush frequently is thinning out the paints. Now it seems like a lot of my colors that I'm using, I don't really have to thin them out. But kind of like this highlight gold, I started spraying it the other night and it wasn't spraying very good through the brush, and then I thinned it just a little bit and then it ran through good, which is what I did thin it today. I probably should have shown that, sorry. But thinning your paints does help for sure if you're getting clogged brush. One thing that I've noticed I keep getting recently, and I don't know if it has something to do with the humidity or something like that, but I keep getting dry tip really quick where the paint dries on the tip of the needle, and then of course that's going to mess up how it's spraying or how clean of a spray you're getting. So I haven't figured out how to eliminate that, other than it keeps happening to me too. But I'm going to call that good on our highlight gold. We might come back in with it later. We might come back in again with it later and add some more details to it. But I'm going to clean out the airbrush and we're going to move on to our next color. All right, next color we're going to be doing is going to be a transparent peach. Now, I should say there, and as you guys know, a million different variations or options when it comes to Gizzard Shad. So a lot of them, when I was looking at a bunch of different reference photos, it was really hard to pick which style to go for, because some of them are really silver and have like highlights of blue in them and more gold. Some of them are almost just straight white, but I'm going to try to go for a pretty bland, kind of like earthy toned one, so browns and tans, and then we might add a little bit of some blue highlights to it too, just a little bit. But what I'm going to do with the transparent peach is we're going to kind of spray a little bit along the belly side of the bait here, and then we're also going to kind of do a line of it going down the center, and then we're going to hit up on the gill plate and the head just a little bit, and then run down the back of the bait as well. I'm going to come back in with a darker color later, but I think having that base coat of peach should look pretty nice. And I'm really just kind of doing, I guess the way, if you want to look at it this way, there's 1, 2, 3 stripes going down the side of the bait. I'm just trying to break up the pattern a little bit, because we're going to layer some other colors, and that'll kind of, from what I've seen looking at my reference photos, that kind of helps make it look a little bit more natural when it's not just all white on the belly, goes into a blue or yellow, and then goes into a black. If you got a little bit of tan or sand down here, peach color, little peach there, little peach there, little peach there, I'm hoping, I guess we'll see whenever I'm done with this one, hoping that will make it look good, or make it look a little bit more natural. So something about like that, I think. I don't know, folks. We'll find out. All right, we are going to be adding some gold into this bait, but I think what I'm going to do first is do a light brown, and then we can layer some gold and black on top of that later. The brown I'm going to do along the back of the bait only, and then we'll kind of have it fade into our gill plate and where the eye and everything's going to be going. And then we'll layer some more colors on top of that. I just want a nice base of the light brown. And I'm going to kind of fade it onto the side just a little bit. And I'm going to carry it down along the eye and the gill plate just a little. All right, going to call it good there on the medium brown, or sorry, light brown. All right, next we're going to go right over top of that brown with a really light layer of a pearl satin gold. I think I'm also going to hit it just in a couple spots along the side of the bait there. We'll see where this bait goes. At the moment, I'm thinking these base colors are looking pretty juicy. And I actually decided before taking it off the helping hands, I'm going to do, whoa, don't scratch. I'm going to do a gloss top coat. Now this one does say, if you guys get some of this at home, where'd it go? Airbrush size or needle tip is 0.5 at 40 to 50 psi, and then for smaller tip sizes and lower psi settings. So I cranked up my psi to like 45, I think, somewhere in that area, and then I put a couple drops of some paint reducer in the airbrush, because I'm running a 0.3 size needle right now. Now the reason we're doing the top coat, if you had seen my last video where I painted one of these 7-inch glides, I had laser engraved the scales on the sides. There's little grooves there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some paint down on there and then wipe it off. That way the paint gets trapped down in the grooves but keeps our little scale colors on top. Now that won't work as good if I didn't do this top coat. The top coat makes it a little bit more slick and easier to wipe the paint off, so it's not soaking into the base colors. So I got it thin the best I could, running 0.3 size needle tip, air pressure around 45 psi. And if you're doing this at home, don't go too thick with it, especially if it's a plastic blank, because you will fill those grooves in and make it a little bit harder. This one's got all kinds of stuff going on there with it, so I'm not expecting a perfect scale pattern, which is good because I think perfect makes it not look as realistic. So I'm going to hair dry this really well, and then we will take it off our helping hands and start adding some more detail. Alright, got our sponge out so we don't scratch the bait on the table. Now we're going to take a paintbrush and a paper towel. And I don't have an exact perfect plan here on the color, so I might be going back and forth till I get kind of what I'm looking for here. But what I'm going to start off with is a medium gray, and we're going to paint it on and wipe it off so that way the gray will get trapped in the grooves there. I am expecting some of it will also be sticking to the paint, or top paint, just a little bit. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and do this step right now, and then we can see what other colors we need to add or stencil patterns. So I'm going to just kind of keep this gray definitely above our center line here. We'll start at the top and kind of maybe bring it down into that area and see how far that gets us. I think for this to work really well, I need to engrave these scales just a little deeper. Or some of my other paints have kind of filled in a little bit of the grooves. Doesn't seem like it's working as good as it did last time, but I also like the randomness of it. I think it will be good. And we're going to be doing some more stencils, so definitely an interesting technique. Don't know exactly what you're getting until you start doing it. I'm gonna go ahead and bring it down a little bit further right here. Alright, going to clean our paintbrush, and then I think we're going to come in with some white and do white down at the bottom. Okay, I think what we're going to do now is take a netting. Now this netting, if you guys can see it, pretty cool little pattern. I think what I'm going to do is try to add some more texture to the bait. So I got our medium gray loaded up in the airbrush, and my netting ain't big enough to strap all the way around the bait and do both sides at the same time. So I'm just going to kind of hold it down in place with my fingers. And we're going to spray it right along the top of the bait here and kind of have it fade somewhere about where my finger's at. Yeah, see how it's got all them little bitty spots on there? Pretty cool looking. I'm going to go ahead and do this along the back of the bait as well. Alright, I'm feeling kind of stuck on what to do next, so I'm going to go ahead and work on some detail up on the gill plate and around the eye. I think getting all that shaded will kind of help, you know, figure out where I need to go next. I really like the randomness of everything, but I feel like I do have it a little bit too brown for what I was going for here. So I'm going to shade the front half of the mouth and gill plate and everything. And then we'll come back in. I was thinking about using this stencil right here and doing some white or really light gray up on top to kind of tone down that brown just a little bit. But we're going to do this first and we'll see how it goes. Last time I didn't have the right size stencils, so I went ahead and cut some based off of my laser pattern. So now I'll be able to actually have something that fits around the gill plate perfectly. I should have marked which one was which, but so what I'm going to do is hold this in place, and then we're going to come in with some transparent black and just kind of shade the edge of the bait there. I'm sorry, the edge of the gill plate. Yep, I'm gonna call this bait good as she is. Last thing we gotta do is glue in some eyes. And I've got some eyes here that didn't quite turn out the best. There's a whole bunch of little bubbles inside the resin. So that's the ones we're gonna use, since this is, after all, a test bait. Nice, big old juicy eyes. And there we have it. One very brown Gizzard Shad paint job. I am excited though, once the clear coat goes on, it should make our silver we did pop a little bit more. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I do have to redeem myself though and try to get the pattern or the correct colors that I was trying to go for on this one. But this one, we're going to call it good. I will get some clear coat put on it, glue in that tail, and then we will come back and take a look at what it looks like all finished up.